remember the moment I realized I'd made the worst mistake of my life. It wasn't when I first lied. It wasn't even when I crossed the line I swore I never would. It was when I saw the way my husband looked at me. Not with anger, not even hatred, but with a kind of quiet, broken disbelief that hollowed me out from the inside. Ethan and I had been married for 7 years. We weren't perfect, but we were solid, the kind of couple people said just worked. He was steady, thoughtful, and kind in a way that made people trust him instantly. I used to say that his calm was my anchor. But anchors get heavy. When life started closing in, bills, my long hours at the marketing firm, his constant travel for the engineering projects, I began to feel invisible. Ethan was always working, always, just one meeting away from being done. We shared a house but not a life. Dinner was eaten in silence. His eyes fixed on his phone while I stared at the wall and wondered when we'd stopped being us. Then came Adam. He joined our firm as a new consultant. Charming, attentive, funny in all the ways Ethan used to be. It started innocently enough. Long conversations over coffee, shared jokes in the elevator, the kind of harmless connection that felt like sunlight after a long winter. But sunlight can burn. When Adam told me I deserved to feel seen, I believed him. When he brushed a strand of hair behind my ear one late evening after a client dinner, I didn't stop him. And when I kissed him, I told myself it was just once. A mistake I'd bury and never repeat. But lies are living things. Once you breathe life into them, they grow. The night Ethan found out started like any other. He just returned from a week-long trip, exhausted but smiling, holding my favorite takeout in one hand and a bouquet of lilies in the other. "For you," he said, his voice warm, his eyes soft. I felt something twist inside me. Guilt, sharp and nauseating. I kissed him, pretending I was fine, pretending I was still the woman he believed I was. But as we ate, I noticed the shift. He wasn't making small talk. He wasn't checking his phone. He just watched me. Every time I spoke, he nodded slowly, his jaw tightening. Finally, he set down his fork. "Who's Adam?" My heart stopped. "What?" "Adam," he repeated, his voice eerily calm. "You've mentioned him a few times before, but never the way you did in that text." Froze. Text. I'd been careful. Deleted messages, cleared history. But I'd missed one, just one stupid message. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You make me feel alive again." Ethan, I can explain." He held up a hand. "Please don't. I've already heard enough." There was no shouting, no smashed plates, no storm of accusations. He just sat there, quiet and steady, as if every ounce of emotion had drained from him. That calm was worse than rage. "Was it worth it?" he asked finally, his voice breaking. "Was he worth everything we built?" Tears blurred my vision. No, it wasn't like that. I was lonely, I felt. Lonely. His voice hardened. And that justified betraying me. "I made a mistake." "No," he said quietly. "You made a choice." He didn't sleep in our bed that night. I heard him moving around the house until dawn. The creak of the floorboards, the faint zip of a suitcase, the sound of him folding his life away from mine. By morning he was gone. No note. No goodbye. Just the empty indentation on his side of the bed, and a silence so heavy I could barely breathe. Days turned into weeks. He didn't answer my calls or texts. Friends told me he was staying at his brother's place. I wanted to go to him to beg him to listen, but shame kept me rooted. Every time I imagined his face, the hurt in his eyes, the tremor in his voice, I broke all over again. Then, one rainy evening, I came home to find an envelope taped to my door. No name, just my address in his handwriting. Inside was a letter. I thought anger would make this easier. Didn't. I kept asking myself what I did wrong, what I missed. But the truth is, sometimes love isn't enough if one person stops choosing it. You were my best friend, my safe place. And you destroyed that. Not just with what you did, but with how easily you hid it. I can't hate you. I tried. But I also can't come back. I hope one day you forgive yourself. I'm not there yet. I read it again and again until the paper blurred with tears. For months I lived in a fog. Work became mechanical. I stopped seeing friends. Every morning I'd reach for my phone, hoping maybe, just maybe, there'd be a message. There never was. Then one afternoon I ran into him at the grocery store. He looked different. Leaner, calmer, as if he'd shed not just me, but the weight of the past. For a moment, he hesitated when he saw me. Then he smiled, faint but polite. "Hi, Claire." My throat tightened. "Ethan, how are you?" "Better," he said simply. "You?" "I'm trying." We stood there, surrounded by the quiet hum of the store. Two people who used to share everything and now couldn't find a single safe word. "I read your letter," I said finally. "You were right. I stopped choosing us." "I'm so sorry." He nodded. "I know. Is there someone else?" I asked before I could stop myself. He paused, then shook his head. "Not yet. But I'm open to it. I'm healing." The words hit harder than I expected. Healing, something I hadn't managed to do. He adjusted his cart, gave me a small, sad smile. "Take care of yourself, Claire." And just like that he walked away. I stood frozen, watching him disappear down the aisle. The man I'd loved, the man I'd broken, and the man strong enough to walk away when I couldn't even forgive myself. That night, I sat in our empty living room, surrounded by the remnants of a life I'd ruined. The framed photos, the sofa we'd picked together, the coffee mug he used every morning, all silent witnesses to a love I'd taken for granted. I opened my laptop and began to write him another letter. Not to win him back, not to justify, but to finally tell the truth. "Ethan, you were right, I made a choice. But I also made another one now. I choose to live honestly. To face what I did without running from it. You taught me what real love is. Not the easy kind, not the exciting kind, but the kind that stays through storms. I'm sorry I learned it too late. Wherever you are, I hope you find someone who never makes you doubt your worth. Claire." I didn't send it. Some things aren't meant to be received, only written so the heart can finally exhale. Months later, I saw a photo online. Ethan standing beside a woman at a community charity event. They were smiling, their hands brushing lightly. It didn't hurt the way I thought it would. It just ached softly like a healed scar. Because for the first time I understood. Love isn't proven by promises whispered in the dark, but by the choices we make when no one's watching. And in betraying his trust, I'd lost the one person who'd always chosen me, even when I didn't deserve it. Now, I wake up every morning and remind myself of one simple truth. Some lessons are meant to break you before they rebuild you. And the silence he left behind, that devastating, unbearable silence, became the only thing that ever truly taught me what love meant.